Because like Robert said, and I think that's very important, is that you accommodate us instead of us trying to fit into what you have. And I think that made us a lot more comfortable.
I agree. I would really recommend Peru for less.
Great stuff.
Don't go with somebody else.
Highly recommend.
Highly recommend. We would, you know, I mean, we get a lot of stuff word of mouth, and we'd say, you know, we'd highly recommend your agency. We couldn't possibly have expected it to be any better.
I would say Proof for Less is a great organization to work with. They're going to be pleasantly surprised, and I would highly recommend them.
I say go with them.
Yeah.
They're a very, very good person.
Great
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, sure.
Great stuff.
I would highly recommend you guys.
Right, I agree.
I think it's a lot nicer not going with the same group moving around for 30 or 40 people, trying to gather them around, and you have a little more flexibility the way you guys make the arrangements. So you just have individual tour guides, and we can do it whenever we want to without having to, you know, this is the day you got to get up and you got to go move on. So we can spend 2 days here and have a tour if we wanted or not.
Absolutely.
So the flexibility is great.
Same thing. I think we've traveled before where it's a set program and you go with a large group, and this, like when we just right from the get-go when we called in, we were able to determine the date we wanted to leave and the date we wanted to come back, and then Adrian was very good in advising us on how to, where to place things, so that, for instance, coming to Peru, we could acclimate in terms of the altitude, and it worked out perfectly. So we're very pleased with that.
Peru for less is, less pain for the customer. I definitely, recommend any of my friends, 100%.
I would say use them in a heartbeat. I don't think they could find a company that they could go with that would be any better. And as we walked around, I heard your name said a lot. So a lot of people must feel the same way we do, because it seems like a lot of people are using you. So we were even with 2 men that had booked right at the last minute. And they were a great help to them, of getting them, where they could be, where they were being, and getting them in hotels and onto these tours at the last minute. So.
Well, I can't really compare, but I would recommend them, saying, hey, I did this trip and it was like a really awesome trip. I had a great time, no problems, just might as well book it, right?
Use them. Yeah, they won't find any holes. I mean, Michael was great, Laura was great, all the way through. And your perfect driver has just shown up for me.
On time.
You guys rock.
I'll tell them that we used it. It was fantastic. I'll probably share some of the pieces of the itinerary which we used, and I'll tell them please pick up the phone and speak to Riley or send her an email and use them.
Oh, go with them. Definitely.
Excellent. Ryan, I called the man, I can't even tell you how many times, because we had never planned a trip like this. So he was so receptive, had a lot of suggestions, and once we said, well, we only have this many days, he was able to say, give us suggestions about what we could alter in the plan. Getting us to Bolivia, sticking that in there was important to us, and he made sure that anything I asked, I got a very quick response, either by email. Every time I called, if he wasn't there, they took a message. He either called me back or told me when he'd be back in the office. So extremely accommodating, so that gave me more confidence. Because I only got it from the website, and I read other people's testimonials, and they looked pretty good, but you don't know. I was still a little nervous. And everything you promised.
Being here.
Yeah.
everything was like clockwork.
Yeah, that's what I said.
It's really been, you know, we're not that experienced travelers. I mean, we've traveled abroad. We usually experience where English is obvious advantage and stuff. You know, you go to Scotland, you're not that concerned. Come to Peru, everybody's speaking Spanish. So you're a little anxious, plus you don't know how you're going to get around and stuff like that. And we were basically met by somebody right on time, every time. The standard of excellence, I thought, was phenomenal.
I've been very impressed with the details that they take to plan your trips. Everything is worked like clockwork, from bus drivers to people who are picking you up and so forth, and a lot of attention to detail that I've been very impressed with.
I think they were very responsive right from the get-go. So I think that's what captured us, because we called a few places and people were just right away, they would call us back or email us back. And I think also the language capability made a difference. A couple of places we called because we don't speak Spanish, and you know, so we had a little more trouble with that.
Right.
But yeah, Adrienne was great. Yeah, she always responded to us.
Generally, it's a very good impression. I liked the way to explain, the way to stay with the clients. And so in Lima, it was a girl, very nice girl, very kind girl. So my impression is very positive, very good.
Oh, we were really impressed. Everywhere we went, very efficient. They were always where they said they would be. They picked us up and met us at each site that we went to, which made it so easy. And I'm just very impressed with it. I would definitely use them.
Out of the tours that we've been on, this has been the most efficient. It's been amazing how somebody's been there to greet us every time.
Fantastic. Great stuff.
So we haven't had any problems of getting lost or having that feeling that, oh, you know, nothing to be afraid of, that, you know, I'm going to be wandering around not knowing what to do, where I'm supposed to be. They were always there to meet you, to make sure that, you know, you knew what bus, what train you were to be on. They were there to meet you. Like after, you know, we did Machu Picchu or other sites, they were there exactly where they said they would be, and got us on the vans, the trains, the buses, whatever, planes, to make sure that we got where we were supposed to be is exactly the time we were to be there.
Our initial bookings went really well. We were trying to decide how much of our trip we wanted to use, Peru for less or Latin America for less.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Because we're heading to Argentina next, and everything went really smoothly. Everyone was very helpful and detail oriented, so we appreciated that.
Yeah, the response back with Kelly was fast, so that was really cool. Great, yeah, just like great choices for, you know, the different hotels and transportation and everything was well planned.
I appreciate, I was thinking about this last night, supporting the local economy, and so how booking through Peru for Less has allowed us to stay at different hotels that are more local instead of going to ones we just know the name of or something like that.
Oh my gosh, I am very analytical. I'm like the Uber geek. I emailed Michael 10,842 different times with different questions, lots of them. He was so patient. He probably needed a vacation when I was done. It wasn't like I was looking for the best price. I wanted to make sure I had the right service. And, you know, because I was traveling alone, I wanted to make sure it was going to be fine. He was great. He was so patient. And then he was going to be out of the office twice during the 4 or 5 months that we were going back and forth talking about stuff. So he'd let me know when he was gone. Wonderful. And then you guys call. You know, you get your paperwork way ahead. But then you call and remind us and take care of us, so you don't actually have to function or think, which is pretty helpful.
Really very nice. She has initiated all the correspondence, my daughter, and in turn, they responded to me through emails, and that are very concise, very informative, and there was no. I felt that there was nothing left for me to ask another. That means they framed it nice way. There is no scope for me to ask any questions. So very nice. The correspondence was very excellent, and as well as the stay is also very excellent.
The thing which I liked about Peru for Less was that they kind of very flexible in the schedule. They gave us the right kind of hotel mixes which we wanted. We wanted a really nice place in the Amazon. We wanted a really nice place in Machu Picchu. And we kind of wanted 4-star places in most of the other locations, which they kind of managed to fit in. It wasn't too large, groups of people. We had flexibility on the food. We could eat where we wanted to instead of being tied into a particular group, which was very good. And I think from a cost perspective, from the proactive, interaction, email interaction, and phone calls perspective, I think it was great. And therefore, we went for Peru for Less. I would recommend this company very strongly to other colleagues of mine. I know a number of people, friends of mine, who want to come over to South America, and I'll recommend them.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very positive. I was very pleased with how, on the fun vacations, nothing goes 100% according to plan. And so when things get a little bit off, they're very responsive. We didn't have any serious problems. I would say I was a little nervous because our tour guide was going to go on vacation. She pre-warned us in the middle of the time. So I thought, how are they going to pick that up? I'd say, even though we had a few little glitches, there was always people that were very responsive to us, picked up everything on the spot. And so accommodating us is a big part of what I'm looking for when we go on vacations. And so I very much appreciate what Peru for Less did for us.
Yeah, I also think it made it a lot more comfortable for us. We don't have to worry about, well, where do we get the tickets, or where do we stand, or how do we get there, and so forth. So this has made it a lot more comfortable for us. And there's not that anxiety every time we get to a point, a different point. And, okay, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And seeing that sign that says our name, Quail.
Well, I think you've exceeded our expectations, really, because it wasn't that everything was clockwork. There were phone calls. We were in the cab, and then the gentleman handed the phone to us. So we had a double check on everything we did. It seemed that there was extra care to make sure that we were feeling secure. There just were no questions left to answer.
There's no anxiety, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so. I've worked with lots of travel agencies in the past, and I've been delighted to work with Peru for Less. They gave great suggestions and recommendations on both excursions as well as on hotels. I've been very impressed with the hotels that they picked, especially because they've been economical but have met my needs.
Yes, you guys have. I mean, I think just the way you guys managed to organize everything, the initial presentation of you feedback and us making arrangements and modifying things as we trying to customize our trip to the number of days of each place was very quick and fast.
And then while we were here, everything went like clockwork. And even if there was any little glitch, we could just call you, and then you would always respond. So that was great. Yeah, and all the tours that, like with the tour guides, it was really great. They were all very knowledgeable, and the quality was very good.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Yeah,
Good
definitely,
stuff.
definitely.
Good stuff.
Yes, more than my expectations.
More than my expectations too. Been just all the way through, it's just been excellent.
Great stuff.
Where even, they would give us little tips of like where to eat. And that really helped. When you're in a place and you don't know the restaurants or that really helped us. And so that also led us to some great food.
Yeah, definitely met expectations. Maybe even exceeded because I mean, first time being in Peru, I wasn't really sure, like, you know, how things would go, like how the hotels were, or how transportation would, you know, be taken care of. But everything was done very well. So
All of our drivers have been on time and helpful, and always made sure we were taken care of at our next point. So checking into a hotel, they came and, you know, last night the taxi brought us in to the hotel to make sure that we were actually, you know, everything, our bookings were straight.
I also wanted to mention the tour guide, Fabricio, was awesome.
So, well beyond, when you think of something called Peru for less, you just think you're getting the best price. And I did do some research. Prices are very, very, very good. But what you don't expect is the level of service you're going to get is as good as any 5-star. I mean, it's just the follow-up and the care is off the charts.
Yeah, I think definitely met our expectations. I think from the beginning, everyone, especially Michael, has been very helpful in tailoring the experience for us. I knew that my mom really wanted to see Machu Picchu, and my dad would really enjoy the Amazon, so he was very helpful with sort of figuring out the best way for us to do that in a limited time frame. And was very helpful and gave us a lot of good tips on, you know, you can cut down some time here, add some time here, and some activities along the way. So very helpful and informative. And like my dad said, really hasn't left us with any questions to ask. So everything has been pretty well thought out. So has been a really good experience even from the beginning in setting up the whole trip.
Yes, much better than what I expected, so very good.
Oh, I'd say you exceeded my expectations because we had, with all the logistics that are involved, we had a lot of little issues going on with what happens now. But the fact that you would, at every time your agent that you met said, and here is what you can do, do you have any questions right now, that reassurance made things very helpful.
Yeah, particularly when our daughter's plane got delayed for quite a long time. So, you know, they had to do some changes and all that, and we wondered, well, how are they going to handle this? How are they going to handle that? But it's like it was a normal routine, and that helped us out so we wouldn't be so stressed.